Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you have not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside the show while it is live, but most importantly, if you would like to join the debate, with the page you are currently listening to me on muted, simply click the link in the info box below this video to join the show and express your views on the shape of the Earth. There are a couple of rules in the Hangout. Number 1, please do not swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please do not try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. I'm going to transition across immediately to the Hangout as we have got our first guest. Looks like Ranty's joined us, but if you are currently in the live stream, please share the show on social media, as this does increase the live audience, of course, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. One more time, if you're new to the channel or you have not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. And with that, I'll give our first introduction to Ranty. How are you doing, Ranty? Good to have you here.
Yeah, not too bad.
Good to see you, my friend. The mic's all yours.
Yeah. I'm not really here to talk right now. I'm just chilling out for the minute. But, you know, if anyone comes in with anything interesting to talk about, we can talk about that for sure. All I've seen recently is just a lot of trolls coming in and not really saying that much, to be fair. All they can do is offer innuendo and magic maths to explain what we can clearly see with just our opticals, our eyes, and a camera. So if anyone wants to come in, I'm waiting.
I couldn't agree with you more, Ranty. We're in a position where we have to make no apologies. We just say we see it. That's it. That's the end of our explanation.
That's it. I mean, if we believe some of these guys, they believe we can see our own ass. If we look with the right conditions, we can see all the way around the world. The entire span, 5,000. We had a big enough camera, and we could see our own asses in the camera lens. It's kind of ridiculous, really.
Yeah, there's been a few commenters that have said just because one guy believes something completely nonsense doesn't mean that the globe model's incorrect, and you're tarring people with this brush of nonsensical idiocracy that, well, basically they're talking about Rumpus and Paul, and in reality, unless you believe it too, you're not a globehead. You have to believe that, because that is their explanation for why we can see all of the Isle of Man. That's their account for it. Well, if you don't believe that, well, essentially you're a flat earther. You believe as I do that we just see it, because that is the explanation for why we can see the Isle of Man. Because basically, using refraction, with the right conditions and enough altitude and a long enough zoom, you could see your own arse in the camera. Well, that's complete nonsense. I don't accept that in the slightest. I never will. But if you're a globehead and you think you live on a globe, you must accept that. You must.
Well, here's the thing. They're suggesting that the entire island has been lifted up. And that's why we're able to see the island the way it is. But then that begs the question, there must be a cut-off point at some point. So if the whole island has been lifted up, then somewhere in the clouds with the overlay, there should be an overlap in the clouds, because that's where the cutoff point will be. So that will be reproduced twice, because you will have the higher clouds and then you'll have it repeated again because it's lifted up. So you'll have two sections of clouds that should be identical, and we don't see that in the image. So that kind of disagrees completely with the fact that the island has been lifted up, because where is the repeated clouds then? If that's the case, where's the doubling up of the clouds? What on top of each other?
Yeah, exactly. There's a real problem in the respect that, yes, there's a quarter of a mile of the island missing at one end of the island. However, we do have direct line of sight with the clouds and the top of the island. So if you're going to claim mirage effect, as they have done, they have to claim the entire island is being miraged, regardless of the fact that we have clear line of sight with some of it above the curve of the Earth. The whole thing has to be a mirage, otherwise they can't explain how it looks perfect. Oh, the whole thing's being lifted up.
The whole thing is miraged and the whole thing is loomed up, but there is going to come a cut-off point. That is an absolute given, that there will be a cut-off point. Otherwise, you will do a full 360 over your head and everything's warped. There has to be a cut-off point. And on the video, and I've scoured it completely, from top to bottom. There is no doubling up of the clouds. So that tells me that it cannot be loomed, because there has to be an overlay of the clouds in two locations repeated on top of each other for it to be a looming effect.
Ron Burgundy doesn't understand what a mirage is. He says it's not a mirage, it's just the light bending. So he's obviously succumbed to Rumpus's doublespeak.
I don't tend to listen much about what Ron says. He said he was going to provide me with some information about a bet that I'd had with Lottie. I'm still waiting on that information because he won't produce it, which clarifies exactly what the bet was. And also, Imric has removed the video, so of course there's no evidence there. So they're just simply running around claiming that I owe money when clearly the bet was something different, and I have complete evidence of that. So yeah, I just don't believe what Ron says. I'm waiting for that information. If he cares to share it at any point, put it on a Google Drive.
And again, Ron Burgundy says, well, how about your evidence? Prove it, Nathan. Burden of proof is on you, you idiot. Wrong, Burgundy. Maybe you missed the beginning part of the show where we explained that we have to make no apologies for the photograph. We just say we see it. That's the end of our explanation. You guys, on the other hand, have to make numerous apologies, numerous explanations. We have to have the Emperor's new clothes, curvature, that doesn't exist, we can't see, and causes absolutely no effect on the thing we have visual line of sight with. We just have visual line of sight of it, Ron. I don't have to make any further apologies. You do, well, as a globehead.
When I go down to the beach and I videoed that boat that was 9.5 miles away, the debate turned on to whether or not I'd identified a different boat in the same location. Forget the fact that you could see the boat. They completely tried to derail the argument, which was the fact that the boat shouldn't have been visible in the first place. That evidence has yet to be debunked. Also, if you go to, I've got evidence from Barrow where I was literally in the water. You know, the camera was set to perhaps 2 feet above the water, and I was able to see the mirror ball at 16 feet above sea level. Again, that's not been debunked yet, and this is from 19 miles away. It's either something going on in our location, because we are seeing flat everywhere we go in the North Sea, or we just have to believe that it is flat all over, because there is no proof, where I live at least, that there is any kind of curvature.
I'm joined by a couple of new guests. We've got Mate 4, I think you were in first. How you doing, Mate 4? Good to have you.
Hey, mate. What's going on?
Yeah, we've got a couple of flat earthers on, so good start for us. How you doing, Sleeping Warrior?
That's right. I keep getting sniped, man. Every time, as soon as I enter, it's just, well, okay, I'll be honest. Every time I've been joining lately, I've sort of been a little bit like, a bit of a dickhead. Oh, sorry for the language, but just because I think we've been going on with the Isle of Man stuff for a while.
And yeah, but it kind of, from our position, you've got to understand that this is like interesting, yeah? This is
for sure. But we shouldn't be able to see the lighthouse.
No,
isn't that kind of true?
I had a presentation for that actually. If you give me 2 minutes, I'll show you what I've actually found out.
If you want to avoid getting sniped, just add me on Skype. Find me on Skype. I've sent you 2 messages. If it's you, I don't know whether it's you or not. There's 2 people with the same name. Add yourself to that, and then if you do get sniped, at least Nathan can bring you back in on Skype.
That's my ID, my Skype ID in the chat there. Can you
Right, let me see if I can find you and add you, because it can be a little bit weird.
Like I'm still on the fence, guys. Like sometimes the globers get me, and I turn to the dark side, and I'm like, yeah, it's a globe, and then you guys get me back, and I'm like, yeah, you can see that damn lighthouse, sort of stuff.
At the end of the day, you're your own judge, but it's not fun being a flat earther. It really isn't, because you're ridiculed.
Not really.
At the end of it depends on whether you accept the majority consensus as the proof, or whether you accept the evidence as the proof. And the evidence is the proof for me. The majority.
I think I'm sort of.
I was just about to say to Ranty. Ranty said that nobody's debunked the observation from was it Barrow, where you can see the mirror ball.
Yeah.
What they'll do is they'll claim that it's been debunked. 10 of them will agree that it has been debunked, and therefore it's been debunked, which is where Make 4 gets caught up in it, because Make 4 thinks that if 10 people have told him that something's right, then it's right. And that's called the bandwagon fallacy.
No. I do look into some stuff.
Huh?
I don't. I try to look into the scientific side of things, but there you go. You got me.
Right. So I've sent you a message. Now, if you add me on the contacts, if you do get kicked, then it's up to Nathan really. But at least you're able to get back in. So just send me a message if you get sniped, and we can probably sort something out. Depends on how much Nathan likes you.
Well, that's the thing, because the Globers sort of get me back on their side sometimes, and I'm just like, just look at the sky, just look at the sky. But like, you know, like even still looking at the sky, even though it does sort of say globe with the way that it moves, like gravity, the vacuum, any of that stuff just doesn't do it for me. Like the super hydrogen liquid form, keeping the vacuum sealed out there. Like, I don't know about that.
How you doing, Lottie? Good to have you. How you doing, Lottie?
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning to you too.
The way
Hope everybody's doing. Wonderful morning.
Hey, Lottie.
Can you let me know when I'm presenting, please, Nathan?
Yeah, you're presenting.
Oh, right, okay. So this is the lighthouse. This is the... this is basically all the ballers have. They're saying that we aren't seeing all of the lighthouse, and I'm going to argue differently.
What? They said we're not seeing all of it. I thought the argument now got to the ground bit where they're complaining about how much ground there is or something.
Yeah, well, if you look at where my cursor is now, that cursor, that should be where that should be beyond the curve. Anything below that should not be seen. All this should not be seen anyway.
That original red line, I remember that.
Okay, and here we clearly can see the lighthouse. Now, I did have a full presentation ready to go, but
to be fair, Ranty, let me just correct you. The position, you've not been keeping up to date with the flat Earth debate, because the position is now, why can we see only a little bit of rocks underneath the lighthouse? We should be able to see a lot more rocks.
Well,
yeah, sorry, the Isle of Man stuff hasn't been very interesting for me.
This is the line of sight into the actual lighthouse from where you took the video, and you can see it dissects this part here. And I was able to find an image online that sort of matches up. You know, this is from the same sort of, almost the identical angle, you know, with the quarters up here and the lighthouse here. So what I decided to do, this is the image that Anthony has. You can see the quarters here. Here's the lighthouse. You can also see that there's an additional part of the lighthouse that's been added at the bottom that isn't actually part of the main structure. It's I think it must be to protect the, you know, from the wind or shield or something like that. In any event, this is the line of sight to the lighthouse from where Anthony took the image. So what I've decided to do is I've put some lines in across that sort of match up the top, the bottom of that part here, and the bottom where the horizon would be, as you can see. Would you agree that that's kind of fairly accurate?
Yeah.
Okay. So what I also just looked at then was, well, what's going on in this area? You know, if you look at the land, if you look how scarred it is with the water, where the water rises up and it comes in here and around, you can see there's no grass or anything growing on these rocks at the bottom. So we know that when the tides come in and go out, you can imagine that the water height is most likely around about this height, because grass doesn't grow on it. If you look over here, you can see where the tides are coming in and going out. I've kind of marked it off, as you can see. So now when you're looking at it, you're getting a different perspective, because what you're seeing now is if the water was in, and this is the horizon line that Anthony has here, the difference from what we're not seeing is probably, what, 30 feet?
Yeah.
You know, I'm also going to show you something else now. It might boggle your mind a little bit, but this is a screenshot that I took, and if you can see the water line is very, very flat here. You know, it's very flat. Can you see how the water line is very flat? But when we come to the lighthouse area, we got these waves up, down, up, down, up and down. I'm going to open this in paint.net so that you can see. I'm going to change the contrast on this.
Just for the benefit of Alex and only Alex, can you just confirm that there's no beach here for him to see?
Yeah, I'll do that in 1 second.
Just do it verbally. Just say, Alex, there is no beach for you here to see. Because Alex thinks there's a beach everywhere.
Right, so I've just replaced that anyway. So hopefully now when I go onto this image now, you'll see if I open this. It should, yeah. So there we go. So now when I scroll in, can you see how it's waving up and down, up and down, up and down here? But it's flat there, flat as a pancake there, and it's flat as a pancake here. The only waves that we've got is in this location. Can you see where they're going up and they're going down, up and down? Can you see that contrast? I mean, I'm not imagining this. You can see this, can't you? And then we look again at the topography of this area, and we've got up and down, up and down, up and down. We've got this coves, 3 coves that are right in the same location of the lighthouse. Now, if you imagine as the tide's coming in or going out and the swell's going up and down, as you can see, the scarring that's happened in this landscape. Can you see the 3 areas, the 3 up, down, up, down, up, down?
With you so far, Ranty. I will introduce you, Mike, once
Up, down,
Ranty's
up, down,
done.
up, down,
I have seen you.
and it's flat.
Good morning.
And it's flat. And yet in this area here, we have 3 clear signs that the water is brushing up against the rocks in this area.
So are you saying that we're seeing the waves that lap up against the coast?
It would be consistent with that, because if you look at the coastline here, you can imagine these 3 areas, they would, as the water's coming in, it has nowhere else to go, so it has to lap up against the rocks.
Just flick back to the other picture.
And you see the rocking in and out. If you look to the left, the horizon is completely flat, the waterline. If you look to the right, the horizon is completely flat. But the only place that we have 3 dips up and down, up and down, up and down is exactly in the same location as these 3 coves here that are in a direct line with the lighthouse. Now, I've already gone over the I've already gone over the images here to show you how when the tide is in, it's here, and there's the waterline. Here we have this matching up completely, and this is the difference. And we've got the waves coming in, and coming in, and you actually captured that on your actual image.
Right. So, actually, that's a really cool. When did you spot that?
Well, it just took it. You know, I mean, you just have to. You have to look for answers. This is what we do. We look for answers. We don't just put suppositions out there. We don't just say, "Oh, we're missing 173 feet." We go, well.
Where's
First
the
and
missing
foremost,
1,000 feet?
see all the lighthouse. Secondly, when you actually look at the image from an observational point, and you actually look for a line of sight, so there is no beach down here. It's just rocks. There's no beach for it, so to say that you can see the beach is ridiculous. Then you look at the scarring of the land, and you realize that the water does rise up quite high in this location, and it goes, very close to the lighthouse. So then,
I think the fact that you've got the little outhouse out the back behind it, sort of gives you a bit of an idea for height as well. You can easily tell that it's, a bit of the shoreline is missing, but it's not as much as there should be. I'm liking it. Sorry, keep going.
This 173 feet is ridiculous.
There is a problem.
And if it's flat to the left and flat to the left and it's flat to the right, and the only place we have these 3 clear what looks like waves, you could imagine that the coastal area with the coves, the water could be coming in and lapping up just as you would expect it to be hitting the rocks. And that's
there is a problem here, Ranty.
Okay, there can be a problem, but my position is on this image here. Where are we? Let me scroll out. On this image, is that this is a direct line of sight for you. This is the building. There's the lines that match up, and high tide is here, low tide is down here. What is the difference? We're looking at either the waves are coming in and they're coming up to here, and we're missing perhaps maybe 25 feet, or it's low tide and it's lapping up and we're missing probably 80 feet. So that is there's no 173 feet. you know, that's just ridiculous.
Is that what concludes? Does that conclude your presentation, Ranty?
It does for the lighthouse. That's the best that I can find, basically.
I think Sleeping Warrior's been itching to raise an objection, so you go ahead first, Sleeping Warrior.
Okay.
It's not so much an objection, it's more the fact that for them to debunk this or to counter it in some way, they've actually got to look at the evidence, and it's clear that both Paul and Rumpus don't look at the evidence. They go off script and start talking about mathematics and don't relate it to the evidence whatsoever. So it'd be interesting to see how they deal with this point, because it requires them to actually look at the evidence.
Sorry to interrupt you, Riley. You said mathematics. I think that was a mispronunciation. It's actually pronounced... No, shut up a second. It's actually pronounced mathematics. No, Riley, shut up. I'm finishing my sentence. It's pronounced mathematics, just
Depends on whether you're talking about actual real world or you're talking about hypothetical.
Anyway, I want to talk about something else. Who cares how you say mathematics?
But there we go.
Like, basically, I wanted to ask a question. I don't know if you guys, or you want to keep going, Ranty. Sorry, am I interrupting?
No. No, I just wanted to point the topography of the land out, and basically just tried to find an image that showed the line of sight, and it all came together once you actually start to analyze this. And this is why I get kind of frustrated when people don't do any kind of research, and it's down to the burden of proof seems to always be down to us to back up our images, and people can just throw out assertions that it's 173 feet beyond the curve when clearly you can see all of the lighthouse. So taking that down to the bottom straight away, you down, you know, and you know there's a gap there. You know, I mean, they can see the gap between the lighthouse and the horizon. So it just lies so bad, and it's so frustrating. It really is, because it's you know, and they say that this composite that I've produced has been done incompetently. Well, I disagree completely. I would ask them to try and do a better composite.
Ranty, by the way, speaking of composites, Chris has asked if you'll carry on the composite further off to the right for him.
Yeah, of course. Can
do it the other day, and you said you would, and he's waiting for you to do it.
Yeah, sure, yeah. No worries, I'll do that.
Has anybody else on the panel got any questions for Ranty? I've got a question. I just don't want to go before anybody else on the panel. So has anybody else got any objections? Go ahead, Lottie.
Yeah, I have a question. Ranty, have you got my money?
Nah, where's my money? You owe me.
Let's talk about this, because I want to know exactly what this deal was. What Lottie, as far as you're concerned, what was the deal?
Can it wait till... Hold on, before we do... Hold on, before this turns into talk about a bet. Ranty's just done a really cracking presentation. If Lottie hasn't got any objections to the presentation, Make 4, have you got any objections? Mike, have you got any objections before we get into this bet? I don't mind you talking about it, I just don't want it to happen right now.
Nope. No, the presentation was garbage. We should move on.
Okay. Mike? No? Make 4? No?
Sorry, I'm what?
Make 4. I can remove.
I mean, if everyone else is cool, I've just got a couple of questions that I would like to ask, if that's okay with you. It's actually directed to Sleeping Warrior. From 35 feet.
I'll allow that.
Thanks, Lottie. That's really kind. So from 35 feet, Sleeping Warrior, on many other observations that flat earthers have made of things like the Chicago skyline, there's this argument that there's like a compression effect with the waves. So obviously, if you get a bit of spray off the waves between you and the thing that you're observing, that effect is compounded the further you look, and you end up with a mirage. A mirage effect in the field of view. And when you concisely detailed that 2 days ago, I frankly completely agreed with you. However, for me to accept what Ranty has said, I have to completely disregard that and say, no, we're seeing down to beach level, and I honestly can't in my mind reconcile that. I don't think we can, even at 35 feet elevation. Am I incorrect in that or not?
Well, that's where I was trying to speak to Paul yesterday, but because Idiot was being idiot yesterday, I wasn't able to speak at all. Every time I spoke, he interrupted over and over and over again. And indeed was the reason why I didn't come on last night, because he was in dick mode. But had I been able to speak yesterday, that's what that exact point was what I wanted to talk to Paul about, because Paul actually looked at the evidence, he brought a counter to the table, and it was credible, and I accept. Actually, let's leave it until Paul comes in. If he's out there, Paul, get your ass in. Let's have a chat. because it was the exact point I wanted to bring up with Paul, because he brought a valid counter to the table, and I wasn't able to credit him yesterday because of idiot being an idiot. So I've changed my position with regard to what I said about the Mirage. I tend to accept what Paul's counter was more than my original assertion. So if Paul's out there, I mean, I am crediting Paul, really. He's come back with a fair counter, and he's right. The boat in the foreground would probably negate the Mirage, the Mirage that I was asserting may well be there. Doesn't necessarily mean it is, because the boat was closer to us and the Mirage may well be behind, but it's stronger than the assertion that I made in the first place, and I tend to accept that. Now, Ranty said this, that makes it even more compounded, and I would agree with you, Nathan. It would be. I now think that it would be the case that there is no Mirage at all. But the problem with that is it negates altogether the idea that there's any non-standard refraction, because I was looking for evidence of non-standard refraction to try and give some weight to Paul's argument that it was non-standard refraction. And that's the only thing I came up with, to think that based on the evidence, was there a Mirage? Could there be non-standard refraction? And the only bit that we can see is that little bit right at the very end where there's a little bit of looming, little tiny bit. That's it. That's all we can see. So that's what, like I say, that's what I wanted to chat with Paul yesterday about, but it got totally and utterly derailed. So Paul didn't get the chance to have a fair response back. He come up with a fair answer. It makes sense. It's supported by evidence, and that's the debate that we should be having. But then it does lead on to something else. But anyway,
quick question from the chat. Do we know what time of day you took the photo?
I can find out on the video. Hang on.
If you could, I think that would be helpful.
Also, what the tide was doing at the Isle of Man end at that time of day.
Yeah, hang on. I can find all that out. Hang on. So this was taken. When this picture was taken, Ranty, was this taken off the first video or the second video?
The second video. The composite.
Yeah, the composite.
Yeah, that was taken off the second video.
Okay. Yeah, it's that one, isn't it? Right, 354. 27th of October was the time it was taken, but I don't have the date it was taken, but I don't have the time because it's not on there, and I'm not going to go into the reasons for why, but I don't have the time. It was in the afternoon, and the tide was on its way back up. It had gone out, it had reversed, and it was on its way back up, but I don't have an accurate time.
The tide had reversed. Okay.
Yeah, it had reversed, and it was on its way back up because on the outgoing.
It had reversed.
Yeah. On its way back up, although I don't know exactly where it was at because I don't have the time. The other one I wanted to ask was, if Paul does come in, if he's listening, I know it might be a bit early, a bit late for him. I'm not sure. No, actually, it'd be early evening for him, won't it? If you are listening, Paul, I'm looking forward to asking you again about the evidence that you've for the molten iron creating its own charge, self-perpetuating, preferably when it's at critical, but supercritical. But in any event, I mean, I've asked for that, and you keep avoiding it like the plague. But yesterday, I did see you making presentations to do with evidence, saying like the island in the background would have different contrast layers to it, and we don't see that in this island. So you are able to do it. So I don't really see any reason for why you've not got this, Paul. You are the physicist.
And I would also like to know where the moon rockets are on the back of the moon that keep it going.
The moon rockets?
Yeah, the moon rockets, man. The perpetual moon that keeps orbiting us, and we keep orbiting the sun somehow. We must have rockets on the Earth too, somewhere keeping us going.
Oh, I can help you with that.
Okay. Perfect balance of momentum and gravity.
I'll use that window. So,
I have a question as well.
Yeah.
Does hydrogen, nitrogen, carbon and stuff need like certain other elements to make it glow colors, like neon or argon or something? Does it need neon and argon to make it glow certain colors?
Sorry,
you know what I'm saying?
Does what need?
I've heard if you shine like something like if You know how the atmosphere has colors to it, right?
Oh yeah.
Are those colors only there because of things like neon and argon or whatever it is? Is there a...
Oh well, they call it Rayleigh scattering on the ball Earth model. It only scatters the blue lights because the red lights and the green lights and all the other colors. I don't know what happens to them, but the blue light is the reason the sky is blue is because of Rayleigh scatter. According to the blue,
the blue is the highest frequency.
Yeah, but I don't know what happens to all the others. What happens to all the other colors? I don't know where they go.
Okay, I got a question, right? Because once weather balloons go over the atmosphere, which is about 30 kilometers, if you look at the videos, that you can see like this layer of like the blue atmosphere, and then a black. You see the black night, so not night sky, but the black space vacuum place is just black, and like I'm wondering if like because once it technically goes above 30 kilometers, then it starts looking black.
Yeah, and what's interesting is when you look at the size of the sun and the moon.
Well, that didn't take long. I'll bring him back in on Skype, I guess. Yeah, of course it's being shut down. It's a very flat earth heavy show. So yesterday's 2-hour solid globe fest ran pretty smoothly.
To be honest, even I'm annoyed at this.
Say again, Lottie?
Even I'm annoyed at this.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
What can you do? So, Nathan, how are you today?
Not too bad. Not too bad at all.
Doesn't want me talking about elements and what's above the ozone layer. Hello? Have I been kicked again?
No, you're still here.
Banana. Yeah.
It's Mate 4, just on a different account.
But quickly, Banana,
every time I bring up my topics.
Banana, are you a flat earther or a glober?
I'm on the fence. I actually believe
don't be silly.
that. Well, I actually am on the fence. I kind of think that the sky is spherical, but I fairly solidly feel like we're not really moving, to be honest. And
one second. You think the sky's spherical?
That's right. I think there's a compass on top and a square on the bottom.
Okay.
And I'm wondering why it goes black, even though this after the atmosphere ozone layer, which is where oxygen sort of starts thinning out. I'm wondering that we've still got 7 other elements, and hydrogen reaches up to 1,000 kilometers, which is up near the ionosphere. And this is only at 30 kilometers, so there's still roughly like 7 other elements above us that I'm wondering if they should be showing color or not, instead of just a black sky, like blue and then black. Or since there are still elements there and light would be scattering off them, why isn't there still more blue? Wouldn't it just be a different sort of blue if blue is the main color that...
I think Make 4's been
Maybe
sniped.
add Make 4 to the Skype call as well. It's just going to end up being with, you know, Skype being the flat earthers and the globeheads being out in the open like yourself, Lottie, open to
and
be
then
sniped
they
by
can be
each other.
susceptible to their own venom. Right, let me see if I can get... I think he needs to add me, though. I don't think he's added me. He sent me a message, but I don't think he's added me yet.
He didn't sound too keen.
Can we get Knucklehead back in, please?
Who back in?
Knucklehead.
I don't recognise anybody by that
Knucklehead
name.
here. Who do you mean?
Oh, AKA Ranty.
Oh. Yeah.
Knucklehead,
Dude, where are you?
Hey, what? Did I hear my name being spoken?
No, you heard Knucklehead.
Yeah, it was
I
me.
didn't recognise who that was.
I said Knucklehead. You probably recognised me saying your name.
Do you enjoy kicking people, Lottie, or what?
Lottie.
I don't even know how to snipe. I generally don't.
gosh.
I don't know, I'm not sure it's Lottie. There's just YouTube.
I think Nathan would know if it was me.
I wouldn't. It's from the back chat that they're sniping, but a YouTube fake sock joined and then everyone got sniped. So it's just YouTube fake sock, I would assume. But I'm not in the back chat, so I don't know what goes on in there.
I genuinely don't know how to do it. I don't really care. I wouldn't waste my time sniping you. You're all insane.
That's cool. But yeah, I just...
So why do you come on then if we're all insane?
I've just come on to... I want my money.
But
all right.
So you believe in gravity?
Do you think you could see a telescope and see your own ass from all the way around the Earth in the right conditions with the right zoom?
What?
Well, like it's been explained to you, theoretically, it's possible.
So
good dog.
That's 3 people now that
good
think
dog.
the same thing.
Tap him on the head.
Yeah, make 4. Paul, the physicist, the physical cyst.
Physicist.
He asserts, or I asked him, if you had a powerful enough zoom and the right refraction levels, theoretically, could you see your own arse in the telescope as you looked all the way around the Earth? And he said yes. But so did Rumpus, and now so is. They've all got to agree to this. They've all got to do this, so it has to happen. So we should just enjoy the moment and ask them all. Do they all think you can see your own arse in the telescope? Well,
okay,
if you had the right zoom.
Sleeping Warrior, you've asked this question. You've been given the answer. Now, why do you think it's not possible? What is it? Just incredulity? Do you just think it's not possible?
It's not that we don't think it's possible. It's theoretically possible on a globe. It's theoretically possible on a globe and ludicrous.
I must have interrupted the beginning of yours, and I apologise for that. I'll continue. So, why do you think it's not possible, Sleeping Warrior?
That was the end of your statement last time. That was the same end of your statement when I jumped in. So it's not that we don't think it's possible. We just see it as ludicrous. Yeah, it's theoretically possible if you're on a sphere, but that requires...
So you see...
you're interrupting me now, Lottie, you see. I hadn't actually finished my statement like you just had and confirmed that you had when you repeated it with the same ending, so I hadn't finished. So we see it as ludicrous, despite the fact that if you take the presuppositional position that you are on a sphere, theoretically it is possible to see your own arse. I don't take the presupposition that we're on a sphere, therefore I see it as ridiculous. You must accept it if you think you are on a sphere. I do not.
And I agree with Nathan. It's
but who cares what you think? You guys are utter morons.
You think you can see your own arse, theoretically, because you're on a sphere, and you're calling me a moron. You're calling me a moron. Do you not understand what you've just told the audience? Yeah, I think it's theoretically possible, because I'm a globehead idiot. You're the moron. You're the idiot. You believe ludicrous notions just because they've been told to you by someone more intelligent than you.
Yeah, and I don't believe what you say because you're stupider than us.
You think so? Really easy. We're the ones with evidence, and you're the one with beliefs.
We're going to have more. We'll trust their opinion rather than some fat-headed people who think the Earth is flat. Why would we listen to you? You
don't have to. I'm not listening to anybody, Lottie. You don't have to listen to us. But you do trust the globehead scientists and their maths. That's the reality of the situation. We don't trust people. We look at it ourselves.
To it doesn't take away from the fact that they're scientists and they're experts in their field, Nathan. You're a part-time worker from Tesco's who spends more time doing debates than he does working and smoking around his door. Why would we even listen to you?
It's all right. Let him get his ad hominem attacking because he doesn't have any argument against the Isle of Man.
An ad hominem would be if I said that your argument was wrong because of that. I'm not saying you're wrong because of that. I'm just saying that
you are.
That's not an ad hominem. You really are quite stupid.
That is exactly what you're saying, Lottie. And you're asking for $5,000 off Ranty. On what evidence would you think that we would accept that the $5,000 would be owed? I want to know what the terms of the bet are.
If you want to know what the bet is, Sleeping Warrior, go to Ron Burgundy's video. He's made a video about it, and you can see the claims made there. And
is Ron Burgundy's video a bookies? Is it a betting shop? Is that the name of the betting shop?
I've actually just seen that, and I'm actually very glad that he's actually pointed that out because it conclusively proves that I have the correct bet, and I can prove it. So, Lottie, you owe me $5,000, mate. I'm going to do a video because you've just admitted that Ron Burgundy's is the bet. And now I'm going to prove it because I already have it on my Google Drive.
Your clip art knucklehead presentations are not proof. You get clip art images and you try and line them up, but that's not proof, knucklehead.
Yeah, but it's more proof than getting
$5,000. That was the bet, though. That was the bet.
Hang on. It's more proof than that getting 5 of your friends to agree with you that you're right, because that is the bandwagon fallacy. It's not about how many people agree with you. It's about what is factually the case.
About how many people agree with me. I've never mentioned the amount of people that agree with me.
Yeah, but I've seen all the momentum, people saying justice for Lottie and all that. Okay, I'm interested. What are we talking about? Tell it's something to do with the scale of the caravans.
Really, is your skull so thick and dense that you can't see that that's just playful trolling, that they're just joking around in the chat? If you can't see that, then you're thick as...
Of course, but it's pricked me ears, so I'm interested. And I'm asking, what was the agreement? What was the thing that you said that Ranted got wrong?
Just told you about 45 seconds ago. Go and look at Ron Bergen's video. He's got the clips of the comments that were made. I told you about literally 1 minute ago. Go and have a look.
Can you not paraphrase it for me to save us from doing that?
It's absolutely perfect.
Why the sun and the moon move at different angles across the sky compared to the stars?
Yeah, because that'd piss all over heliocentricity, wouldn't it?
Or why the moon's 5 degrees off and not the same, like, sort of...
To be honest, I'd like to know what Lottie thinks that the terms of the bet were. And I'd like him to tell everybody what he thinks the terms of the bet were. And then we can cross-reference it with the video that he cites to see how accurate he is with fact portrayal. Because it seems to be the case that a lot of ballers misrepresent the words from flat earthers all the time. And they make them out to be silly. So come on, Lottie, what were the terms of the bet so that we can cross-reference it and see how accurate you are? What was the deal?
Just 1 second.
It was exactly what was on Ron Burgundy's video.
Guys, today, last night, right? I was looking at a star, and then a cloud covered it.
The bet is less than 3 caravan sizes from the rock to the rocks from the hill using his location. So that's 3 caravan sizes, not clip art caravan sizes, not arbitrary clip art images, the actual caravan sizes from the rocks to the hill.
So does that mean that you want me to go measure the actual height from the apex of the roof down to the floor? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying I don't want clip art measurements. We're not all knuckleheads. I know that works for Ranty, but that doesn't work for us.
Stop being arrogant.
So what do you want then, Lottie? What would be the proof for you?
If he did measure it, that would be proof. But we can just use surveyors. They've already done this work for you, Renty. Knucklehead, sorry.
All right. Well, okay. I'm glad you said that, because Google Earth shows it at 10 meters.
Google Earth are not surveyors.
Yeah, but this is not hard. I actually proved that Google Earth and the survey.
No, is anybody home? No, Knucklehead, is anybody home? Follow the conversation.
Yeah, your conversation is that Google Earth is wrong with their elevation height. That's what you say. Whereas I did a presentation showing the Ordnance Survey map up to date and compared it with Google Earth to show that Google Earth and the Ordnance Survey are absolutely identical. So I'm sure if it says 10 meters on that hill, it is 10 meters on that hill, and that is less than 35 feet.
Nathan, would you mind sharing my Skype screen, mate, so that they can see what I've got on screen?
I'd just like to show 10 seconds. No worries.
I'd just like to show Lottie the importance of evidence in terms of the unreliability of doing what he's asking us to do with the surveys. Paul recently came on and claimed that this debunked the whole Isle of Man observation. And I'm just going to show how reliable this information is. And if you're asking for ordnance surveys or some kind of surveyor type stuff when we can do clip art, knuckleheads, that kind of stuff, I think you're kind of being a little bit ridiculous, because this is a bit of an issue. You're asking for ordnance survey or surveyor type things. And in this thing here, this is what Paul cited was proof that blah, blah, blah. And then he says, you are now at a height of 260 feet or 80 meters. So let's just check that to see whether that's actually true or not, according to your model, because it's all about your model. Nathan, keep it on. It's all about... just hang on while Nathan gets it back on screen. So I know where this was, because this is a photo that my missus took herself. She took it in person. So it's the same thing that Paul's got. And I can point out exactly where it is, because we've been there. But bear in mind, it says 260 feet. So... spin this around a little bit so that you can see the side on view.
Crikey, that's some green grass, mate.
Yeah. It's an area of natural beauty. Let me zoom out a bit, find out where the hell this thing is. Oh, I'm on the wrong corner. Hang on.
I really want to go over that side of the world. It looks really nice.
Okay, so obviously this is where we stopped. We came up this hill, and on this corner of this hill, there's this little kind of turret thing here. This little kind of it was a watchtower in the Second World War, they say, and it's been there for a while. But as you can see on Google Earth, looking down here in the corner, it says its elevation, and on Google Earth it says 158 feet. Now, this is where one of those things is probably going to change. Maybe not, I don't know. 158 feet, but on the actual thing, it says 260 feet. So which one's right, Lottie, if you're going to go with surveyors for being the proof? Because on the one hand, it says 260 feet. You are now stood at this distance. So unless I've got this place wrong, and in which case I could be stand corrected, but bear in mind I've been there, this is the place that this little thing is. That only says 160. So there's 100 feet of missing curvature there. Oh, I mean, sorry, missing elevation, which is also the reason why everybody thinks that I'm at 100 feet, because it says on here, I'm at 35 feet. I stand by the 35 feet because it appears to be accurate, in my opinion, based on how low I actually was. Yeah, you guys all think I was at 100 feet, and the highest possible that I could possibly be is 55 feet. The evidence is not stacking up for the correct elevations on Google Earth. However, it's the best that we've got. So back to the point.
No,
why would surveyors?
You're saying roundhead, fathead. You're saying Google Earth trumps surveying information.
You might get away with talking to Ranty like that, but you will not speak to me like that. Speak to me properly.
Fathead.
It's kind of pretty much. I agree. Like,
give us no need to be personal.
Right. Riley, do you think Google Earth trumps surveying?
If they match up, would you agree? If they match up, would you agree that then if they match up in places pretty accurately, you would agree then that Google Earth is accurate? If Ordnance Survey and Google Earth match up, would you agree?
I would be more inclined to believe it, yes. But I wouldn't believe Google Earth over actual surveying maps. That's just ridiculous. And it's just because it... Go ahead.
Lottie, what about this? This is me actually on... Nathan... I don't know, Nathan.
Who's that sexy devil on the hill?
Oh, you can see this. I didn't realize it could be seen. I must have this on. Yeah, that's right. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong screen. That's actually me putting up the little tripod when I took part of one of the videos. And I think this is where the basis of the bet forms, is it not? Is it the case that your position is that you need however many of these to get down to the beach? Is that the position? Because I would say that that's about 4.
I didn't have a position. I was just countering Knucklehead's position. He said it was less than 36 feet.
Don't call him Knucklehead. Give him his proper name, because it's not very polite. We do to.
I'm just going to start calling you names now.
So, okay. It was Shane Cook's opinion, and I countered that opinion.
Okay. Ooh. So is this the basis for where the bet started? Is it based on this picture?
Is Knucklehead not answering you?
I'm asking you, is it based on this picture? Is this where the bet started from?
You need to ask Knucklehead. He made the claim, and I disagreed with him. So ask Knucklehead what his claim is.
His claim? Let me show you an image.
To be honest, Ranty, don't even address him while he's calling you Knucklehead.
Just the thing is, no, I'd rather him address me as Knucklehead, because it just goes to prove.
No, I wouldn't. I find it rude and offensive.
No,
he's got a name,
because ultimately we get sniped out of the hangouts, and we're getting called all these names. We get called names in chat, so I'd rather it be shown for the world to see just the type of people that we're actually dealing with.
Well, all right. If he insists on calling you Knucklehead, right. I insist on the right to call him back flamboyant dickhead. Where do we draw the line?
Fathead, that's a perfectly reasonable deal. I'm fine with that. You can call me whatever you like. I'm going to call you Fathead.
Unless you refrain, your name will now be flamboyant dickhead.
That's right. But no swearing, just so you know, Riley. Nathan, can I just get an interjection here? There is no swearing.
Flamboyant twat.
Sorry, can you let me know when I'm sharing, Nathan?
Yeah, you're on.
Oh, right, I'm on, right, okay. So basically in Imrick's chat, we all know that this is the location that they said the video's been taken from. we had. Hang on, let me just get another image.
Francis, just before you do this, what is the deal? Is it? Tell us
hang on.
the actual.
You see this image here? This was the one that Louise came in with and said, "Whoa, can you see? He's 100 feet up there." Blah 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 blah. This is where it all started. Do you remember?
Yes.
He said you're 100 feet up here, right?
Yeah, I remember.
And you're here on the rock. He says you're here. He says, and that is clearly at least 100 feet. We even have a video out of somebody doing exactly, putting a line across from your location here across and down to the water and saying, is this really 35 feet? Do you remember that?
I remember his thing, yeah.
Okay, so we all know that this is the location that we're talking about. Also, in Imrich's chat, he actually pointed to this exact spot in the actual video, but that is removed. And the bet was that from this location here, X marks the spot, to the top of the rocks, which is here, that 3 of these caravans would fit in between that gap, making it prove that it's below 30, well, about 35 feet, 36 feet, under 36 feet anyway, because these are 12 feet tall.
And I agree with the caravan.
From the top of the caravan down to the wheels, which was also said in Ron Burgundy's video. It actually has a screenshot of me clarifying that completely. To the wheels of the caravan, which is down here.
To the floor, yeah.
Yeah, and to the top, which is 12 feet. You could get 3 of those, put them from X marks the spot and do one on top of the other, 2, 3, and that it would go to the top of the rocks. And that would prove that it was 35 feet or under. And
the only bit that you can't prove is how much of a frame they sit on, but there's enough of a frame that they sit on that an adult can get underneath.
I can, because I've actually found the exact same design of caravan as this.
Yeah, Willoughby.
It's the Willoughby Salisbury one. It's also the one with the triangle windows, you know, the shape on the triangle, the edge down. There's different types of them, but they're all the same.
So Knucklehead, Fathead is quite correct, because you don't know if they've been placed on any kind of...
No, they sit on a frame, and the frame's on wheels. So the only issue is, what is the gap of the frame on the wheels? But an adult can get underneath them, because they need servicing with pipes and insulation and stuff like that. So unless he's got something to show how high they sit off the floor.
So anyway, this was the bet. This was the bet. It was clarified in Imrich's channel. It's reiterated on Ron Burgundy's channel that from X marks the spot, which is the well-known position from where we've been analysing it from day one for the last 2 weeks, down to the rocks at the bottom, we could fit 3 caravans in. Right, that was the bet.
Can we have a bet? Don't do it on that picture though, because that picture's too far out. Do it.
Well, this is the caravan site that we're talking about. Can you see the Willoughby Salisburys? Can you see how high they are off the ground? You know, this is the wheels, and they put little, you know, to protect the wheels, they can put things around them, either canvas or wood or what have you. But basically, from the top of them to the bottom of them is 12 feet. Okay, so here's you taking your image outside to the side of the caravans. That's just one set, but I'm not going to use that image. That's just me doing that. Here is the Willoughby Salisbury that I actually found, which is the identical one. Yeah, as you can see, they're both identical, and this is the caravan that I'm going to be using for scaling. I've done it to the height of the peak, to the top of the window, to the bottom of the window, to the little part that comes out here, and down to the base. It's all measured out to 12 feet. And what I've done is, there's the image. So as you can see that I've put this here so that I have it. You can see that I've not scaled it differently. It's exactly the same scale as I've cropped out this here, cropped it out, measured it across, put you on the rocks where you took your image from, and I've scaled 1, 2, 3 down to the top of the rocks, proving that it's under 36 feet, which is
consistent with Google Earth, by the way.
It's exactly consistent with Google Earth. The same caravan down to the wheels. The bet is already up there. Ron Burgundy's done it. I've downloaded his video. Thank you very much. So it proves everything that I was saying, that from your location here, which we all know, this is where we've been saying that you did the observation from.
Next to the caravans.
Yeah.
Not at the top.
Clarified
not on the golf
course,
Jeremy.
He actually hovered. He said here. I said, yes, that's it. Everybody agreed. The bet was there. 3 caravans. 1, 2, 3 down to the top of the rocks. Okay. Now, do you know something, though? This is the point. This is what I'm going to say. I don't want your money, Lottie. I'm not interested in the money. I've won the bet But I don't care because I'm not so pathetic and stupid and crying like you guys who will pick a point and stay on it forever, even when you're faced with clear evidence of something being so flat. You will pick out something else to talk about to derail the conversation. Now, I don't care about the money. I'm not interested that I won the bet. I was just trying to prove the point.
I take it from this, Ranty, that you're not going to pay me my money. Is that what we're saying?
Google Earth. No, and it matches up to Google Earth. So you can keep your money. I'm not interested. But what I am interested in is the truth. And I do try to find the truth wherever I go. But you guys are you're so dishonest.
Yeah,
you snag people, you lie, you make videos that are complete lies. I've actually been waiting now, and I'm starting on Miles Davis because he has completely lied about me and misrepresented me, and I'm going to absolutely prove it beyond a shadow of a doubt. But with all the lies and
don't bother wasting your time with Miles.
It's honest to God, right? It frustrates me so badly because we're the ones going out producing the evidence.
That's what they're trying to do, though.
See it. It's
Ranty,
not,
they're trying to troll you just to waste your time.
But I'm getting frustrated over it. And this is what they get you to do. So that then you spend days proving the point that you can actually do this. And do you know something? And I know for a fact, if I hadn't been able to do this, that the ballers would have screamed blue murder saying, okay, where's this £5,000? Blah, 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 blah. You know,
sorry to interrupt. Sorry, Lottie, bear with me. Lottie, bear with me. Lottie, hello. I just want to introduce Rumpus. How you doing, Rumpus? Good to have you here.
Hello.
Good to see you.
Yes, I'm just amazed that Ranty is claiming that cross is the position where Anthony took the video, when we've got a clip, certainly the one that Lewis was presenting.
No. When the bet was taken, this was the location
when we've actually got the video, and it shows him looking down on that top caravan.
Here we go. We've got faking flat. Now don't even go there.
20 feet. This is Jem Panda,
and this is Jem Panda putting his own lines in. This is him putting his own lines into the side of the caravan. Everybody knows this is the location that we're talking about. So don't even go there.
I'll be coming in here to debunk you. If you could just keep your knucklehead quiet for a second, that would be brilliant. Continue, Rump.
In the video, I don't know if that's possible. The clip that Lewis extracted from the video shows Anthony looking down it must be about at least 15 feet above the top caravan, and you've drawn him below the top caravan. So I'm astonished. I mean, Ranty, that looks. I'm not going to accuse you of lying yet, but that seems to me a complete piece of deception, which contradicts the contents of the video.
Also been joined by Paul. How you doing, Paul?
Yeah, good. I've got something to present too.
Yeah, in your own time. You let me know when you're ready, and I'll pop you on.
I hope it's evidence of molten iron creating its own perpetual charge.
No, it's got nothing to do with that.
We're on something else.
I'm ready to present.
Before you watch,
we're not ready for you yet. This is just finishing. So wait your turn.
If that plaque that Paul found, and it says it's at 240. Now I've just checked it on Google Earth. It says it's at 100 and something feet, which means we actually have 100 feet difference in between what the ordnance officer, as Lottie is saying, in the height that the surveyors think that plaque is at, and Google Earth. Well, obviously, you're going to go with what the surveyors said. So this suggests that there's a big difference.
It suggests that Google Earth is absolute crap for getting elevation heights.
At least that's very accurate. I mean, obviously, it's not going to be right out, and obviously, it doesn't allow for the difference in the tide, which, of course, Anthony keeps on denying it exists. And there's a 5 meter tide there, and
but the elevations are taken from mean sea level. They're not taken from high tide and low tide.
I want to put this nonsense. I want to put this nonsense that Google Earth is accurate for elevations to rest finally once and for all. It's a load of garbage.
It's your model, Paul.
It's absolutely not accurate in elevation heights. Here we have a document. This is from Google Earth itself. Okay, what is the precision of data, distance and elevation in Google Earth? You can see this question here. Distance measurements appear to very accurate, but elevation measurements appear to carry a huge error. This is a question asked by a person, and the expert response from that, the expert replies, note that Google Earth doesn't use exclusively SRTM data, at least in places. The argument it with higher resolution data sets. I don't know the exact sources and areas covered, but a bit further down it says, I believe for many areas, Google Earth uses SRTM data, which offers something like a 30-meter vertical accuracy at 90-meter horizontal grid spacing. Wow. Okay, so you can't get elevation data accurate within plus
says I believe.
30
no.
meters.
It says I believe. I believe was the first two words. Well.
For the benefit of other readers, there is an excellent document with precision of SRTM data at the following site, blah, blah, blah. So, you are right in
Paul,
saying that we should look at elevation accuracy in Google Earth in the range of plus or minus 30 meters.
So one interesting
Paul, what you're saying is that your own model doesn't do what you're saying it does. Average. You cannot rely on Google Earth for accuracy. Google Earth is not an accurate source of elevation heights. A survey
So you've just confirmed and proved that your model doesn't work.
Correct. Well, thank you for that.
Paul, you found that plaque. You mentioned this plaque. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Don't you think that the people that put that plaque there would have had it surveyed?
Right. Yes, but what you've just done, Paul, is proven that your model doesn't work. Right?
I've just checked the height on it, and it was 100-foot difference at least between what Google Earth says it was and what the plaque says it was, which is that
indicates that Google Earth is inaccurate.
Yeah, but this is our point as flat earthers, Paul. We're showing that your model doesn't do what you say it does.
And the model that we say, and the Google Earth model says that it's not accurate.
They admit it.
It doesn't claim to be accurate, Anthony.
So why do you worship it?
All Earthers claim that you've got a working model, don't you? But you've just proven to the world that you don't.
At least admit that this is a model that is not accurate.
So let everybody be aware that you don't have a working model.
Height elevations, Anthony. You
so
cannot
let everybody
rely
be aware,
on
Paul,
Google
that
Earth
you guys do not have a model neither, despite $55 million a day
elevation
tax
data
budget.
with an accuracy of plus or minus 30 meters.
So it's not an accurate model, Google Earth, what you're saying, Paul?
It's not an accurate model for elevation.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Paul. Thank you. I already knew that, but thank you. Nice to hear a globehead admit it. Lovely to hear a globehead admit that.
Paul hasn't gone to the school of ballers. He doesn't know. He doesn't know.
So unless you've got an actual survey map, we're not going to trust
Paul,
any
does that mean that now you'll correct with people that ball earthers when they say things like, where's your model to flat earthers, and we all accept that we don't have one? Will you also now correct people when they say, well, we've got a working model, and say, actually, no, we don't, because the Google Earth one doesn't actually work?
We do, but the resolution is plus or minus 30 meters. It's quite simple.
Yeah,
Google Earth is not the model. That's not the model.
It's
just a representation.
Yeah, it is the model.
Google Earth is a simulation.
You're going to tell me that the globe that we have on our classroom desk is a better model than Google Earth? Are you saying that one would stand above the other?
That's not what I'm saying at all.
So which is the most accurate? Which is the most accurate globe model, Paul?
There is a survey. There's a thing called, I think, there's something 1984 model of the Earth that which is the standard. Yes.
So can I ask a question? Could I ask a question, Rumpus? If we have a 1984 model of the Earth, why would Google not reference that and be more accurate? It seems bizarre that a multi-billion-pound corporate company like Google wouldn't take a 1984 model if it's more accurate than their own.
Well, it's called the 1984 model. It's something 1984. But Google do try and incorporate it, match their data to it.
They try. They've only got a few billion, but they try and fail, and it's inaccurate. What you're saying is they fail, though. They fail, correct? It's not accurate. They fail.
Even that model apparently is out by 100 meters in places.
So that's not accurate either. Hold on, I've just asked you for an accurate one, and you're saying there isn't an accurate one. So we have no accurate model.
Well, not within a few meters. I'm not sure.
Do you understand what the word accurate means?
Well, as a percentage, it's very accurate.
So we don't have an accurate model, Rumpus.
Well, it's usually referenced to the sea level, and that varies, unfortunately.
You seem to be worming and squirming and screaming rather than just saying, no, we don't have an accurate model.
Well, what do you call accurate then? What resolution
Correct.
do you call
accurate? Do you want me to bring up the definition of accurate for you? I've asked you this already. Do you understand what accurate means?
You don't even have a model.
No, we accept that, Paul. We accept that. Nice to know that you also accept that you don't have an accurate model. Good to know that you don't have an accurate model either. Nice that you admit that, Paul. Good to see some intellectual honesty from the globe side.
The most important thing, though, Nathan, is Paul going to correct people when he hears people saying that we've got a working model and where's your model? Because actually, the onus now would be on Paul to say, well, actually, we don't really have an accurate model.
We
have a guess.
Accuracy of the Google Earth simulation, which is a program, it's not meant to represent an accurate model of the Earth.
It doesn't represent the Earth at all. It doesn't represent the Earth. The Earth is flat, Paul. And as we've demonstrated with photographs, nothing in Google Earth works. The elevations don't work. The observations don't work. They don't match reality. They don't match the photos. They don't match the heights. Google Earth is basically a load of old rubbish because we don't live on a globe. That's why it's a load of old rubbish. That's why it doesn't work. That's why it's not accurate. It would be accurate. Paul told me yesterday that we've known we've been on a globe for 2,000 years. 2,000 years we've known, and they haven't got an accurate model yet. 2,000 years of knowledge, and this is the best you can do. Amazing.
I've got a full answer for you, Nathan. The surveyors who actually go around and do it with triangulation have a very accurate model of for instance, that area and England. But we do not have an accurate model of the whole Earth in one model because it'd be too big. But we do have accurate data, contours and things like the Ordnance Survey. That is accurate.
So we have accurate models of the stars, but the Earth is too big, correct?
Well, what do you mean by accurate? If you want to know where a star is,
I've heard people like Tim Osmond say that the stars prove the globe and they are 100% accurate. They have 100% predictive capability. So we have accurate maps of the stars. Huge amount of distance. Hold on, Rumpus, hold on. Huge amounts of distances mapped accurately. Now you're telling me the globe is too big. Hold on, that's what you're telling me. It's just too big to be accurate. Do you want me to bring up the definition of accurate? I've asked you this 3 times now. You're asking me a 3rd time what I mean by accurate. Do you not understand? It seems clear that you don't understand what the word accurate means.
I want to know what you mean by the word accurate.
Enjoy this moment, Flat Earthers, because 2 of them are on the rocks and Lottie's gone quiet.
What do you think accurate means, Nathan, in your personal definition?
It's self-evident.
Because if you're talking about 10 metres, if you're talking about accuracy 10 metres, then we do not know any
Should we discuss our interpretations of the word accurate, shall we? That'll keep the audience amused. What do you think accurate means, Rumpus? How do you interpret accurate?
Right, I would regard the model of the Earth as accurate within a very few fractions of a percent.
Very low standards, my friend. Very low standards.
But if you want to focus in on the size of a cliff, then that's not accurate. But the surveyors are. If you want the accuracy you want, which is presumably within a few feet, then we do have that, but only in surveyors and contours.
Do planar surveyors, when they're building things, take into account the curvature of the Earth, Rumpus? Rumpus, do planar surveyors take into account the curvature of the Earth when they are building structures?
What a straw man argument.
Yes,
he asked do planar surveyors take into account curvature.
Says they think a straw man himself.
Why don't you say curved sticks straight? Oh, wow. That's a really good question, Nathan.
I've just been told that surveyors are accurate. Now I want to know if they account for curvature or not. It's not a straw man, it's a simple question with a yes or no answer. Simple question.
Do geodetic surveyors account for curvature?
And what are geodetic surveyors building that might collapse as a consequence?
But big bridges. If your bridge is a mile long or so...
Do geodetic surveyors take into account the curvature of the Earth, Nathan?
That wasn't my question. I said, do planar surveyors take into account the curvature of the Earth?
Oh, well, over in a few hundred metres, so you don't need to.
So we have surveyors. Both the surveyors, one does take into account the curvature of the Earth and one does not. Correct?
And one doesn't build buildings over large areas, and one does.
So if you had a bridge that was 20 miles long, what would how much curvature would
the curvature of the Earth, because there's no necessity to do so.
So let's do a basic arithmetic.
The surveyors just change the calculation.
Right, let's do a basic accurate arithmetic, right? Let's calculate how much curvature of the Earth the surveyors would have calculated for the big bridge that Thingy goes on about at Pontchartrain. Isn't it about 20 miles?
It's 20 miles, yeah.
So, Paul,
but the individual bits,
Pompous, maybe you could help Paul or Pompous. could you tell us how much curvature of the Earth should be considered, calculated for, with a 20-mile bridge?
Sections correct. You do not need to build the whole thing in one go. If that was one piece of metal or one integral structure they had to build in one go, they would have to account for it. But because it's all built in sections on a Pontchartrain of 100 meters or something, they don't need to.
So can you tell us how much curvature of the Earth they would have to account for on the Pontchartrain Bridge if we go with 20 miles? Ranty, do you want to just check that it is 20 miles?
Because they build it at 100 meter sections, they don't have to account for it at all.
So, Pompous, calculate it.
Sorry, do you want to repeat that?
Right. Did you say that they wouldn't have to account for any curvature?
Sections of the bridge within 100 meter sections, they do not need to account for it. But if they were building one big bridge, they would have to.
So we have another instance where the people you have cited, the surveyors, do not take into account curvature of the Earth again. This is very fascinating that we should be looking at these surveyors, eh, Rumpus?
Over small distances, you don't need to.
Oh, right, that's fascinating.
20 miles, isn't it?
Fascinating. Over big distances, we'd have it looming back into frame, wouldn't we?
Well, you still, despite claiming to, don't understand what looming is, and the fact that Anthony
you don't understand what refraction
moving
is.
Up and down means that he doesn't understand what up and down means, and he still doesn't understand that the looming, the curving down, brings things up.
Great surveyor example, Rumpus. Thanks for that.
Brings things up.
Really great example. Thank you.
Rumpus, do you realise how stupid you sound right now?
No, Anthony. One day, Anthony, you're going to
tell us about the telescope.
You are one of the most stupid people.
Tell us again. See the back of your head from looking all the way around the Earth.
Clearly, he doesn't realise how stupid he's sounding. That's why he's still talking.
Well, I mean, honestly, your IQ of the people here who are on the flat Earth, I can't see how it can be much more than 100.
So why are you coming on then? Why are you bothering? Why don't you go and talk to some people that are clever?
You don't understand basic maths. I mean.
Why are you here then?
A 13-year-old would do better in tests.
Why are you here then?
Yeah, it's a Sunday morning, Rumpus. Why aren't you in bed?
Why are you here if you're so clever?
Or is this church for you?
Yes.
Hang on. It's Sunday morning, isn't it? Sunday morning, yeah? It is Sunday morning. It's New Year's Eve, Sunday morning at 10:30. Is this church for you, Rumpus? Are you going doing God's work?
Doing God? No, I don't think so.
Yeah, it sounds like you are.
Sounds like I'm at church, does it? Right.
It sounds like you're doing God's work, yeah. I think it sounds like you're doing what you consider to be God's work.
I mean, Anthony, the fact that you don't understand how to do simple trigonometry.
Oh, here we go. So show us all about your trigonometry then. Go on.
Well, yeah, but doesn't it worry you the fact that you're mathematically at the level of a 13-year-old? I mean, if I was in that position where I could see that my intellectual capabilities, and certainly in this area, was of a 13-year-old, I'd be rather worried about it.
Rumpus, you can't even do a presentation where you accurately tell us that light bends up as well as down. You only do a presentation showing that light bends down, and you're criticising my mental capacity. I don't think so, Smarty.
Anton, to explain that, and I go, we'll actually do.
No, you can't explain it. You had the chance to explain it. You didn't. I called you out on it, and now you're backtracking. That's called dishonesty.
No, I'm not backtracking at all. The reason I didn't
have the chance to explain it.
In all the conditions,
you spent 20 minutes talking about it, and you never once said the word. That is dishonest.
Right. Okay, you've clearly. I don't know what I've been dishonest, Anthony. All the time in the situations you're dealing with.
You told.
I'll finish my sentence,
please. You did not say the light bent up. You said the light bent down.
Anthony,
that is
please let me finish my sentence.
No, what's the point? You're going to talk
I will present to you very clearly so that you will understand how light that dips down causes things to move up.
Well, Nathan, let's give the man 20 minutes again. But actually, remember that yesterday, Chris got zero chance.
And the fact that you seem to think that light bending up is relevant, that's only relevant in the case of sort of mirages and on roads where you get... you can
Nathan,
see,
what's the position going to be? Are we going to give Rumpus 20 minutes unrestricted again, or are we going to give him nothing?
That's why I didn't bring it up. And you get confused between light moving up and not bending down quite so much.
I've heard your misrepresentations, Rumpus. Of course I understand the difference between light bending up and down. I'm the one that's making that point, you lunatic.
That means that the light is bending up. No, it isn't. It's just not bending down quite so much. And the fact that you didn't understand, I didn't think someone would be so stupid.
You had your chance to demonstrate your knowledge on the subject. You had 20 minutes of unrestricted speech, and you did not mention the word.
And I didn't realise I had to speak down to someone with that level of intellect.
Why did you not do that? Because you are cherry picking. That's dishonest.
Hi, Arav. How you doing?
Yeah.
Good to have you. Good to have you. Hold on, Rumpus. Hold on. Good to have you, Arav. Good to have you.
Hey, pleasure to be here. How you doing?
What have I done that's dishonest?
Good. Not bad at all. Nice to have you.
What have I done that's dishonest?
Hello? Well, it just seems like there's a bit of a pick and choosing here. Like, refraction, if it's bending light down, obviously means that you're eventually not going to see the top of the building because the bottom of the building, because the bottom of the building would bend down into the refraction, which I guess would explain the curve. But what about boats that seem to be kind of shorter than refraction would allow? That kind of disappear too. Then you get another band-aid theory there with looming. Now since it's too short for refraction, it's looming and bending. And so how does refraction work? Is it bending the light down in straight rays, or is it curving it like a hula hoop? How is it working?
Let's get this down.
What a complete mishmash of garbage.
Yes, let's write this down.
Almost everything in that sentence was completely wrong.
Right. What are you saying?
Just like Rumpus's sentence when he doesn't talk about.
Let's identify these points. What's the first point you're trying to make?
Draw an extremely tall building in the distance, and then you have the refraction bending it down at a straight point, right? So that automatically means that the short parts of the building would not be.
I've been sniped.
What he basically said is the upper parts of the image would be refracting downwards, and therefore the bottom of the image would be unable to be seen.
I was trying to upgrade my image of the curving so that to the point that Anthony could understand it.
No, I understand it, Rumpus. I'm asking you why you didn't address the words when it goes up. I understand everything else,
because you don't,
but you've shown one quarter of the whole debate on refraction. You've shown the bit when it appears to bend down. You didn't show anything when it appears to be flat, and you didn't show anything when it bends up. I understand the gish gallop that you showed before. I'm asking you, why did you fail to tell everybody that light bends up?
Right, because in the situation you're dealing with, light is not bending up. So I've only got halfway through doing it.
You can't prove that, Rumpus. But you should have told people that light can bend up, that you don't have the data, and you can only assume that the light must be bending down. That's where you went wrong.
In these conditions, Anthony, it doesn't.
Correct.
That's why we
prove it, Paul.
That's why we did.
You can't prove it, Paul, because you don't have any data. Correct?
We do. We know what the weather is like.
You don't. You're guessing it.
We know what the standard conditions are, and then those
standard. We know standard.
Down.
We know standard conditions. Therefore, we can extrapolate non-standard refraction from that. We just guess. We don't actually know. We just extrapolate, and we've got a pretty good idea that it's non-standard and looming quarter of a mile at one end.
Well, there are lots you of also say that you only need half a degree of refraction to follow the curve of the Earth. Well, that also means it's a very, very, very narrow window of accuracy, so you can be 0.1 out on one of your calculations and then correct for refraction. Wouldn't that be convenient?
Well, I didn't. Right? Do you understand?
Point is, Bumpus, you didn't show
mutter. Do you understand? Mutter. What about the image of the actual island? Let's see some evidence. Let's see some evidence, Rumpus. We're always on these cartoons. We never actually get to the photos and you showing us where this looming occurs.
Rumpus can't do the evidence. He can only do the rest.
You didn't understand. Because I'm having to represent here how the lifting occurs, because you didn't understand.
No, I did understand, Rumpus, and I'm calling you a liar. There's a total difference between what you're saying and what I'm saying back. You're a liar, Rumpus.
Okay.
You did not say that light bends up.
We should step back and get Anthony to demonstrate to us how the refraction works.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Paul. We've got Cat Earth anyway. Sorry to interrupt you all, guys. Cat Earth does deserve an introduction. Bear with me. How you doing, Cat Earth?
Hello. How are you doing, Cat Earth?
Hi, how you doing, Lottie? Nice to be here.
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
This is where the conversation gets interesting. Anthony, Welcome, Alex.
Being a liar about something, I've no idea what, but you don't seem to understand.
No, I know you have no idea what,
but
that's the point,
Rumpus. That you had are very close to the standard conditions, and in those conditions, you get this light bending here, and I've got my pointer here, so, though this is not to scale. You get those conditions. That is the conditions you're. So it's me worrying about light inverting. I mean, what you're saying is, I think what you're trying to say is, why haven't I considered a line that does this?
No, what I'm saying is that you lied by failing to tell people that light bends up as well as down. I can't be any clearer.
No, he didn't lie. He just used.
He lied by omission.
Most relevant conditions to show the most relevant thing.
Relevant conditions to their presupposition that it's a globe.
Most likely to be
the conditions, of course, are completely conducive to the presupposition that we're on a globe. That's completely obvious.
But it does make. But
so the accusation is, Anthony, because I didn't mention that light could follow this curve here, I lied because I didn't bother to mention that this could happen.
It's a lie by omission, Paul, Rumpus. You know that's the truth.
But this is not relevant. This is not happening. All that would happen.
But you can't prove it's not happening, Paul.
Do you appreciate if that was to happen, that it would make the thing sink? To have
but you can't prove that it did or didn't, and neither can I.
The thing appear down here.
Rumpus, do you agree that neither of us can prove whether it happened or not?
Sorry?
Do you agree that neither of us can prove whether it happened or not?
Well, I know that by basic tests.
And I know too, Rumpus. But what can you prove?
No, you don't even know what how to work out
sides
of triangle.
It's not about what you know, Rumpus. It's what can you prove?
You want me to talk about a piece of light ray that would follow this path here. And because apparently I didn't mention this, I'm a liar.
What can you prove?
But that's not relevant to this situation.
The evidence isn't relevant, Anthony. He's given you his answer. The evidence itself isn't relevant. The only thing that's relevant is the theoretical maths that proves it on their side of the argument.
But my theory matches the photograph.
Well, show us where that's evidenced. Hold on, Arev. Show us where that's evidenced.
Right. Okay. Well, I've told you in theory that you get a slight amount of.
So you've just told us it's evidence. Now we're straight to in theory. In theory, if we're on a globe, then your maths works. Anyway, we've been joined by Chris. Hold on, Rumpus. Hold on, Rumpus. Hold on, Rumpus. Calm down, Rumpus. I know you're angry. There's no curve, but we need to introduce Chris. How you doing, Chris?
You've asked me a question. Let me answer.
No, I'm going to introduce Chris. How you doing, Chris?
It's me, not Nathan.
How you doing, Chris? Good to have you here.
Nathan has asked me a question. How do I match we have some evidence from the pictures and we have a theory. And my answer is that the theory and the evidence match perfectly. And we've got the theory, we've got the evidence that things that, for instance, we've got lots of the things missing the bottom half of them, or 20-30 meters, due to the cutting off. But we've also got them appearing slightly higher up than we would have than just using straight lines. And the difference.
Well, our theory works as well. It's flat. And
when we go
to
this picture,
lots of apologies needed, lots of theory needed, lots of maths needed. We just see it.
The picture Anthony took.
End of sentence. I see it.
That large portions. So we know here, for instance, that this which appears to be the.
So you admit you need a theory to account for this. We don't need a theory. You need a theory.
It's where we'd expect it to be with the theory that we've got.
Yeah,
similarly,
exactly,
there's a house here that Anthony.
We make no apologies. We need no maths. We need no theory. We can just look at it and say it's there. They need to gish gallop, bring up diagrams, bring up theories, calculate it mathematically, say that the observation of nothing looking any different than if we had a line of sight would be exactly as we'd see it if it was being refracted. Total nonsense, total gish gallop, complete and utter rubbish. They haven't got an explanation. They've just got theory and conjecture. Presuppositions that are on a globe, followed by theory, followed by conjecture, no evidence, no facts, nothing.
Well, I guess nothing is what you have, Nathan. You have no model.
I tell you what, Paul, I see it because it's there.
Zero model.
Simple. I see it because it is there. That's the end of my explanation.
No theory, no model, no mathematics.
Don't need a model to explain that observation. No model required. All I need to say is I see it because it is there. End of sentence.
All Nathan needs to do is
but you don't see it all, do you, Nathan?
No, that's right.
Yeah, we see all of the land, right down to what should be obscured by a quarter of a mile of earth curve and isn't. You need theory, conjecture, and maths to explain that anomaly. That problem for you needs no explanation from me. It's further away. It's a clearer day. I can see it. That's it.
No model to explain why.
No, I just said it. I already said that, Paul. Did you not hear what I just said, Paul? Clearly, I was being talked over too much. Open your ears a second. Close your pie hole and open your ears, Paul. I do not need a model to explain that observation.
You need a model to show the beaches.
No, I don't.
You need to have an explanation.
Listen to my explanation. Paul, open your ears and close your pie hole. Open your ears and close your pie hole and just listen to my explanation. Listen to my explanation, Paul. It's going to be short if you just shut your mouth long enough. Close your mouth, open your ears, and listen to my explanation, Paul. It's very simple and it's very concise. I see it because... Oh no, I've got two words. I see it because, see, Cat can't help himself. He doesn't want to hear it because my explanation takes 5 seconds. And Alex has to listen to all this gish gallop and understand it in order to be on a ball. So I'm going to say it. I'm going to keep trying to say it till Alex shuts up.
Just turn my volume
he can't help himself. He just wants to be a good dog like Lou. Do you need a dog treat too, Chihuahua? While you talk over me? Lots of little chihuahuas barking while I try and give my explanation for what we observe. So,
where's the beach?
Literally barking like dogs now.
Trying to climb the baller hierarchy.
I'm going to get my explanation in for Paul. Paul doesn't want to listen to my explanation. I'm going to give it whether he likes it or not. I'm going to give it, Alex. You just keep talking over me. I have a clear and concise explanation, Alex. Would you like to hear it, or are you going to talk over me continually like Paul is?
We don't see it all.
Yeah, I'm going to give my explanation when you're ready. When there's a gap, I will give it.
Only if you explain where the beach is, why you can't see it.
Where's this big red blob that
you've heard it a million times?
It doesn't have a beach.
Gap here due to the fact
it doesn't have a beach, you moron. Anyway, I see it because it is there. End of explanation.
Where's the beach? You don't see the beach. Where do you see the beach?
There isn't a beach.
Where do you see the missing cliff below the
No beach there, you moron.
There is it. You don't see it.
There isn't a beach,
Nathan.
That's lying, Nathan. You don't see it.
There's no beach there,
You just lied. You don't see it. You just made a lie then. You made a blatant lie. You do not see the beach. You do not see the cliff and the lighthouse. You just lied.
No beach.
There's no beach.
There's no beach.
Now that's the first we've had a proper lie.
Oh, let's hear Alex's response to that.
Yeah, where's the beach, Nathan? Show me the beach.
He's just asked the same question. What a moron.
Yeah, you do that all the time, Nathan. You did that to me the first couple of days that I was on.
What, did you give me a reasonable answer? What was the question and what was your answer?
Your wall of nonsense. Where's the beach, Nathan? It's been 4 or 5 days. You still haven't answered it.
Anybody want to give him the same answer again for the slower people represented here by Alex?
We're just here to say it to you, to show you how dumb you are, because you don't have.
Yeah, we've given you the answer, Alex.
You don't have a beach.
All that was there, and you.
Guys, just listen.
You say there's a beach
so
there.
geometrically illiterate. You can't understand what the.
Alex, don't you understand what there is no beach means? Alex, look at the picture.
I'm presenting Nathan, if you like.
Yeah, Nathan, put Ranty's Skype screen on. And this is just for the benefit of Alex. We did address Alex at the beginning of the show. Now, obviously, he wasn't here, so we'll do it for a second time. Alex, there is no beach. Ranty's going to show you something now. The minute Nathan gets it on,
and the minute I get it on, you'll be muted by Sniper on Deck, because Sniper on Deck doesn't want to hear this stuff. He doesn't want to hear we see it because it's there. Maybe these people want to hear the ballers waffle on endlessly about conjecture.
Telling me there's no beaches along that shoreline.
There's no beaches there, Alex.
Where's the beach?
No,
where's the beach, Alex?
Right, okay, then we'll rephrase. Where's the shoreline?
Oh, here we go. Oh, so where's the beach doesn't apply anymore, morons. Hold on. Let's just get... Chris has just acknowledged it. Quicker than Alex, clearly. So, you've acknowledged it, and you're going to paraphrase now, where's the shoreline?
Yeah,
so where's the beach over now?
Yeah, I can admit when I'm wrong. Yeah, actually.
Let's see if Alex can. Let's see if Alex can.
Hang on. Nathan.
Alex, is there a beach there, Alex?
Remember the big square you showed me, Riley? Was there not a beach in front of that? A big sandy
Alex, is there a beach where the lighthouse is or not?
Well, if it's a shoreline, it's still a beach. It's still the bottom.
Oh, shoreline. Oh, Alex has just heard what Chris said and has decided to use the same tactic because he's a bit thick. Doesn't realise how stupid his point is. What a moron. Do you understand why we tell you that you represent the slower people on the panel, Alex? This is why we tell you that you represent the slower people here, Alex. Just remember that.
Just a second. He's confirmed he means shoreline. So go ahead.
That's good to know, Lottie. Thanks for that clarity.
If it means
you're so good. Thanks so much for being here, Lottie. You do make me laugh.
If the meme is triggering you that much, Nathan, I will change it to where's the
shoreline. No, you're not triggering us. You're entertaining us.
Not triggering in the slightest. Extremely amused. Extremely amused by you, Alex.
About your life, Nathan.
He thinks I'm triggered. Love it. Keep talking over everyone, Alex, just to demonstrate to the audience how triggered you are.
Oh no, that's what you do, Nathan. That's what you do all shows. Why not?
Answer the question.
He spent 4 days asking where the beach was and never looked at the image. Never went and did a bit of research.
To see the area underneath the lighthouse in the pictures, and you can't. So that was a blatant lie.
You are. You're just blatant liars.
But there's already a mechanism to explain this that is being outright rejected. It's the fact that your half of your range of vision is cut off by the ground anyway. If you were up in the air, objects in the distance would disappear down to a point.
Apparently,
on the ground, half of your range is gone. So the bottom of objects tend to disappear first. Now, if you were up in the air and there was no obstruction, stuff in the distance would disappear down to a perfect point without half of it being cut off. So it's just an optical illusion of the long perspective.
No, is this dude a flat earther then? I take it he's a flat earther.
So you can't see forever on a flat plane.
So we have approximately half an hour left on this live stream. I hope you're all enjoying the debate thus far. If you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. But most importantly, if you would like to join the debate with the page you are currently listening to on mute, simply click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. There are a couple of rules in the Hangout. Number 1, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected. And if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. If you've not done so already, please share the show on social media, as sharing the show, of course, increases the live audience, which in turn increases the likelihood of a more diverse panel. And one last time, if you are new to the channel or you have not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. As I say, there is approximately 30 minutes left on this stream if you wanted to join.
Okay, there it is. So here we go. I'm going to include a lighthouse. Let's make it nice. Let's get it up right.
It's got a quick 5-second song dedication for Alex.
There we go.
Take me to the beach.
What? Is this because you want me to change the word from beach to shoreline? Is that how pathetic you are, Riley? Because that is how you lost your court
Alex,
case.
you've drummed on about the beach for days and days, and you've not even checked to see if there's a beach there.
If you really want to insist, share my screen and tell me what you see on it.
Yes,
what
we see no curvature, Paul.
On my screen.
We see no curvature.
What do you see on my screen? What would you call that? That would be a beach, wouldn't it?
I don't know.
Guess what? That's a beach. It's a beach, and where is it?
Let me get to it.
And guess what? It's a beach we can't see in Anthony's footage.
Where's this beach?
I'm
not seeing a beach, Bob. Where's the beach?
You just repeat that for yourself.
Oh, Nathan, there you go. Randy. Play that song again.
Where's the beach?
Where's the beach?
Where's the beach? There's the beach. Yeah. There's the beach.
Oh, thank you, Paul.
Where's the lighthouse, Paul?
There is a beach.
Where's the lighthouse, Paul?
Where is the beach in your footage,
I don't
Anthony?
see the lighthouse anymore either.
Where's the
beach?
Where's the lighthouse? It doesn't seem to be the same area, Paul, I think is his point. He's not listening. Where's the lighthouse in this image?
Tell me where the beach is.
There's no lighthouse in this image. Are we suddenly cherry picking a different area, Paul? Because where is the beach below the lighthouse?
I'll be honest with you, Paul. There is no lighthouse in that picture.
There doesn't seem to be a lighthouse there.
Closer than
Where's the lighthouse?
So, Ray,
where's the beach?
Are we gonna go back to the bit that we had that was under scrutiny? The bit with the lighthouse.
That's the observer. Okay, that's you're moving around.
No.
That's the observer.
Go back in. Go back in. Go back into the beach.
Where do I put this array so that I can't?
The line of sight.
Oh, there's a beach after all.
Oh, it seems. Hold on. It would seem Ranty's pointing out that we don't have line of sight with this beach.
So make a triangle, and I'll show you how to make a triangle.
Ranty, that must be the curvature because we can't see it.
Let's see how Paul addresses. Oh, Paul's got rid of the picture now.
The triangle's working flat Earth. I don't think triangle's working.
Going up. That's horizontal. Make it vertical.
Right. You want me to draw a vertical line?
I'm sorry.
There's been something that's not addressed. So Ranty has just explained to Paul that we don't have line of sight with that beach.
All right, so now the triangle is going to narrow down to a point.
Can you hear these?
And that's your range of vision.
Hang on. Let's let's check something. Ranty's just said we don't have line of sight to it, which is just like seeing behind the curvature. Let's ask Rompus, why can't we see the beach when light bends?
So now draw an isosceles triangle going toward the lighthouse.
Sorry, do what again? Sorry.
Draw an isosceles triangle.
And we don't have line of sight for the beach.
Just like that. Keep going.
You want me to do something like this?
Isosceles, yes. And those
just some arbitrary bollocks. Rumpus will do fine.
It's isosceles. So one
arbitrary
angle
bollocks would be perfect.
Going down, one
Let's
angle
get Rumpus
going
telling us arbitrary bollocks, and we'll all accept it to be truth.
Why?
Anthony, can you make a video about this today?
You do realise
it is.
You are aware, are you, that light can come into your eye from any angle.
Rumpus.
There's no limits. So there's no restriction on how light can get into your eye from any angle. So why are you trying to restrict it?
Rumpus.
You can see clouds in the background. How do you explain them? What things just happen to disappear, but you can see clouds in the background?
Rumpus. Ranty's just pointed out that the beach that Paul was showing was not. It did not have a line of sight. But I want to know why refraction can't make us see it. So can you show us why we can't see round the bend?
Well, the light only bends so much, Anthony, as described in this diagram here.
We know that when you apply Fermat's principle, light bends up, down, left, right, it bends in all directions. So why can we not see around the corner and see
I'm not happy with this. I'm not happy with this. I want them to clarify why they showed the beach and said we couldn't see it when we don't have line of sight.
There's a lot of beach.
Yeah, come on, Paul. Show us where we should see this beach, Paul. Show us.
You should see all of it if it's flat. I mean, are you that geometrically illiterate? You should see the whole.
There are 130
Again, sorry. Let's just clarify it for Alex, so we don't have to do it 8 times more.
Even at the very base of this lighthouse.
I am actually going to turn you down. I can't be asked to explain this 8 times to Alex while he's just asking the same question about where the beach is. So, Alex, just for your benefit, right? We don't have line of sight with the beach, and we're trying to establish if that's true or not. That's what's happening right now.
Show us. Go on your picture and find the beach. Find the entire island.
That's what we are doing right now, Alex.
Paul claimed the beach, so Paul needs to show us whether it was honest or not. So come on, Paul.
Re-explain it when you're trying to now show me what I'm asking for.
Yeah, that's what's happening now. Try to keep up, Alex.
Is it? Because
yeah, look on screen.
And also with that lighthouse, you need to move it around the range of vision. So move the lighthouse into the range of vision and out of the range of vision, and you'll notice that the bottom part tends to disappear first, based off of that curvature. It's not perfectly placed. That observer would be in the middle of that isosceles triangle at ground level, depending on your elevation.
Where do you want me to put the
when you're at ground level, that cuts off half the triangle.
Let Nathan show me all the beaches. Even though
Nathan, direct the challenge, direct the conversation back to the beach. Let Paul make his point.
I've got his screen up while he fumbles around to try and figure it out, or says nothing on mute. But
come on, Paul,
it's up to Paul to now prove his assertion that the beach is in line of sight.
How many times do I have to explain it to you?
I didn't put myself on mute. Someone else muted me. Okay, so I didn't
the guy that came in. To be honest,
somebody else did that. Yeah. But here's a beach. Here's an even longer beach. Here's
do we have line of sight with it,
beach.
Paul? And we've got line of sight with it.
Should have direct line of sight with this beach.
It should. Okay, so
Paul, if anyone mutes you again, ignore them. Ignore them, block them, and they won't be able to mute you.
Okay, so this here.
Hang on, Paul.
Sorry, did you just move beaches?
Should have direct line of sight with.
You just moved beaches.
But where's the lighthouse on that beach, Paul?
Hang on, wait a minute. You just moved beaches.
No, yeah. I'm not claiming there's a lighthouse on this beach. I'm claiming.
So why are you citing it then,
Paul? You can't see
Paul?
this beach in your footage, can you?
Why are you citing
it, Paul? Moved your beach.
You can't see this beach in your footage. Where is it?
Right, where's the lighthouse in that footage? Because Alex thinks there's a beach, and we're saying there's no beach. Where's the lighthouse in the footage?
There's a beach on screen.
There is a beach. Here's the beach. Here's the beach. It's right.
Where's the lighthouse, Paul? Can you show us in relation to the lighthouse, please?
That beach is not on the composite.
Looks like a beach to me.
Show us where the beach is in relation to the lighthouse, Paul. Paul, show us where the beach is in relation to the lighthouse.
For the 9th time, are you a fool, Rob?
They want to bring us onto the lighthouse and keep us on the lighthouse when it's convenient. But now, we're as far away from the lighthouse as we can be, and they don't want to go back to it. Because it doesn't support their argument. As simple as that.
It's fine. You were the one talking about
telling, as always. Very telling. Not even, literally, you've zoomed out. Can't see that lighthouse anywhere. Still can't see that lighthouse.
Where is the lighthouse?
Zoom out again?
No, I don't
give it. Zoom out again? Any chance you can zoom out again, Paul? See if we can see the lighthouse in the next zoom out.
Where's the lighthouse, Paul? Come on.
Where's that lighthouse?
In relation to the lighthouse.
That's what we were talking about. We were talking specifically about the lighthouse.
You can't even see
I wanted to talk about the other end of the island. I wanted to talk about the end that's a quarter of a mile behind the curvature, but Alex and others kept bringing us back to the lighthouse and asking where the beach was.
No, I didn't. You bring it back to the lighthouse.
That's right.
Nope. I was talking specifically about a 1,000-foot wall of earth curve blocking our view, Alex. That's what I was talking about.
And I'm saying, where's the beach?
Yeah.
Where's the beach? You don't,
Alex,
you don't believe in
I think you'll find everybody. We can all go back and look and see how you guys brought us back to the closest distinguishable point, which is the lighthouse.
You're claiming, Nathan, that you can see it all. I just see it, but you don't see it all because you don't see the beach.
Yeah, we gave you an explanation for this.
No, Nathan is so slow, man.
Yeah, we gave you an explanation for this. Sorry, are you literally completely disavowing and ignoring the explanation I gave you yesterday, Paul?
Slowly for Nathan, because
Paul,
he doesn't
let's
understand
see the beach that you're citing, please.
Yeah, he's not going to. He's going to just co-opt the point. So I gave you an explanation for this, Paul, yesterday. You didn't have to accept it, but I did give you an explanation.
And what was the
Where's the beach that you're referring to, Paul?
Like 5 seconds. And you even accepted about an hour later that was a good point.
Paul, where's the beach that you're referring to? Ramsey, there we go. Now let's have a look. See, should we even see this beach?
Do you want me to screen share you?
Yeah, we've got direct line of sight. Direct line of sight with the beach. There you go. I can show you. I've zoomed out. We've got direct line of sight with that beach. I'll zoom in and on it again. Direct
the problem
line
is,
of
Paul,
sight with that beach.
We don't have a direct line of sight, do we?
What?
Where that is, Paul, do we agree that the land that sits on the beach is not evidenced in the picture?
It's not evidenced in your video because it's below the curve.
So if the land that's behind the beach is not in the video, what makes you think that the beach would be in the video?
Yeah, but it's not there because it's behind the curve.
Why don't we see it?
On a flat earth,
the whole point. Yeah, hang on. What evidence is also what evidence is also in the video, Paul, that you're ignoring?
We don't.
Nathan, do you want to bring up my Skype screen, Nathan? If you
I have.
Where's the video? Right. So, what else do we see in the video, Paul, that you're not telling us? Is this lying by omission, Paul?
It's not lying by omission.
Give me a second. I need to share it with them.
Here it is. So there we see the lighthouse. And then the video pans all over to the left. We see the extremity of the island, then it comes back up again. And watch what happens when it goes to where you're saying that we should see the beach. This is what's called lying by omission, folks, because he's ignoring key evidence here. And this is what we've been trying to get him to do for weeks. What do we see here, Paul? On the corner of this land, I don't think I do. Oh, I don't think I go back. What do we see in evidence, Paul?
By the curve.
What do we see? Is this evidence of looming or not, Paul?
There should be Ramsey in there, and you can't see it because of the curve.
They're ignoring your point.
Evidence of looming
I made this
or
point
not?
yesterday as well, and they ignored it then. So,
what point are you trying to
evidence
make?
of looming or not,
you're making our point. You're proving that the Earth is curved because there's land.
Proving
there
that we can't see the land that should be there.
Do we see evidence of looming, Paul?
And saying people are lying by omission, right?
Well, they give us evidence
proving that we can't see
so they think it supports theirs. It's amazing. How stupid can you be?
Are we seeing evidence of looming or not?
You might as well be making a case
the
for
question.
Us. There's a land you can't see.
The only thing that's omitted there is the land that we can't see.
Because of the curve.
Wow.
Give us more evidence to
Is it because of looming or is it because of the curvature, Paul? What does the evidence tell us?
You should be able to see it.
So wait a minute. So it's not looming.
You can't.
It's not looming now.
You can't see it.
It's not looming.
There's not
you
enough
just said that the whole island was loomed up
because the refraction only gives you 10, 20 meters or so, given this case in that we've got in this video. But it's not enough to enable us to see that particularly low, that very close bit of land.
So, Rompus, does that mean that you disagree that this is evidence of looming in the evidence, and you're not agreeing? Is that the position?
Yeah, I mean, the more you show that.
Sorry, can you repeat that, Anthony? You were muted in the Hangout. They didn't get to hear you ask that question.
Rumpus, can you just clarify for us? Do you agree or disagree that this is evidence of looming? Yes or no?
That video you have here does give a very small evidence, assuming, of course, we sort out the observer height.
Carry on.
If we shoot that, it does give a little bit of loom. We've got a little bit of loom going in, but not enough to reveal the bit behind the curve.
That was an honest answer.
That's so far honest answer. It's not helped out by the loom.
Paul,
it's not sufficient.
Let's go back to the beach.
To bring that into view.
So, Paul, let's go back to the beach. Is the reason that we can't see the beach because of the curvature, or is it because of the looming that Rompus has just correctly identified, Paul?
What was the question?
Is the reason why we can't see the beach because of the curvature, or is it because of the correctly identified looming evidence in the picture, Paul?
Oh, don't get them mixed up, Anthony. Looming is not going to hide the beach.
No, looming's just going to bring it back uniformly along the entire line of the island. Get it right.
The earth that's hiding the beach.
Yeah, it brings it back perfectly without any distinguishable difference from direct line of sight. Try and get it right, Anthony.
Well done, Nathan. You're getting it, Nathan. Well done. Excellent. You've actually
I get it. I do get it. We have it all brought back perfectly uniformly along the full length of the curvature at differing degrees of curvature, and it's brought back so perfectly that we can't distinguish it from if we had perfect line of sight. I get that complete nonsense and fantasy. That's why I call you fantasists. That's why I call you a fantasist.
But it only does it to a small degree. It only will reveal so much. The beach that
such a small degree that within the right conditions, at the right altitude, and a clear enough day, and Paul's maths, we could see our own arses. Yeah, I understand.
So you, but you did.
You wouldn't say yours.
Didn't you learn that at school?
You understand that would only happen.
I don't know why you thought that was so amazing.
It was a uniform conditions at just about 10 meters above the surface of the sea, and there were no mountains between those two spots, and you had the most incredibly powerful telescope. Do you understand those three conditions upon that statement?
Yeah, it starts with one other though, doesn't it? It starts with another. Hold on, what about the presuppositional part? The bit that you have to begin with? The bit that starts with a standing on a bloody sphere. You ignore that bit and just go on about the theory that brings the light around the full sphere that we, in theory, stand upon. We, in theory, stand upon it, but you start with that. You start with that presupposition when you give that explanation.
It's not a presupposition.
Here we go. 2,000-year-old sticks in the ground. Here we go. 2,000-year-old sticks in the ground, convincing Paul. Yeah, I did it last time, Paul. Ding ding. Yeah, I'm convinced. I'm sold. It's not a presupposition because it's not a presupposition because 2,000-year-old sticks in the ground. I'll tell you what. I'll make the same assertion, Paul. Sticks in the ground prove the Earth is flat. Local sun, same experiment.
They prove it's round.
Earth is flat. Proof. There you go. Case closed. Earth is flat. Exactly the same experiment. Total crap.
All your ideas have been knocked down over 2 years. These stupid flat Earth ideas.
That 2,000-year-old experiment does not prove the Earth is a globe. The exact same experiment can be explained with a local sun. It's simple. It doesn't prove a thing. It is a presuppositional argument that Rumpus puts forward every single time. Occasionally he'll say the words, "Imagine you're on a sphere" at the beginning. Most of the time he doesn't point out to the audience that his argument is a presuppositional one and requires them to imagine they're on a sphere at the beginning of the explanation. So when he says at the end, "That proves you're on a sphere," none of the audience, or some of the audience, realise that it's a presuppositional argument starting with you being on a sphere. Well, I don't accept that presupposition when he gives me his maths, when he goes to his cartoons, and when he gives me details about things that simply aren't evidenced in the image.
So back to the beach, Paul. Paul, back to the beach. Let's address the beach, Paul, because we've not had a conclusion on it. Paul, I'm asserting that the beach cannot be seen because it's behind the evidence of looming. Is that correct, Paul?
Looming brings things up. Anthony, looming brings things up.
You realise how stupid that is?
That's like saying positive is negative. You might as well say
the evidence is clear. There is evidence that the part that we're looking at is being blocked by loomed. It's being loomed.
Looming doesn't hide things, Anthony. It reveals things.
Exactly.
It blocks things. It blocks things because that's why boats appear to be above it.
No,
it doesn't. You're wrong.
Looming reveals things that were...
Looming raises things up, so when you see the boat...
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. It blocks the thing underneath it. Get one of the boats where it's been loomed.
Let Nathan and Riley argue about it.
No. Get one of the evidences where there's a loomed boat where it looks like it's floating.
Come on, you've got to teach this, Nathan. You might be able to get through to
Bring one up, Anthony, and I'll display your Skype screen if I can keep you from being muted.
That isn't looming. That's called a superior mirage.
I was going to say that was my understanding. But what you're describing at the end of the island is a mirage. So you have a reflection of the top of the land underneath. Hence, it looks like a little bulbous head of a snake.
To be honest, it could be either. But let's go with looming because that's what it indicates that we're looking at. Let's one of the boats images.
However, the effect of the land being underneath it is looming. That's the effect of looming. But we have mirage as well.
No.
I'm looking for a floaty boat.
Yeah, it's a floaty bit of land. That land at the end is looming. It is looming. But we also have a mirage effect. So we have a mirror image of the land above and the land below. That's why it comes to a peak and appears to be levitating above the water.
Where's that? Show us the mirror image bit.
It's all right, Alex. We had it up earlier. You just weren't paying attention. Don't worry. Don't worry, Alex. It's okay. It's all good. Just go and review the footage after.
No, Nathan, it's a debate. Are you talking about your raised horizon? Is that your argument why you come to the beach?
No, Alex, it's okay.
You're still sticking with that?
It's okay.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I'm
Bless
saying,
you.
can you show
Bless
me
your little cotton socks. Someone will explain
you don't
later.
Want to show me, that's fine.
Someone will explain later to you, Alex. It's okay. Don't worry about it for now. Just ask us where the beach is again and we'll go from there.
It's lying by omission, Nathan. Lying by omission.
Or this one. That's what you're referring to, presumably.
Yes.
That's a severe case of looming.
Great. Now get that on the screen and make it big so we can see it.
Isn't it big? It's just
for Nathan. No, yeah, for Nathan.
Oh.
Right, we'll go with it there because we can see it. Okay, the boat is sat on top of it's a see-through something, isn't it? We know that the boat's physically on the water, but what we're seeing below it is being blocked by some kind of mirage or something.
So the boat, correct, and we have the same effect on this picture. I'm going to bring up the picture of the Isle of Man and do exactly the same thing with the end of the land.
That's kind of you, Nathan. Yeah. You weren't going to do it earlier.
But
I'm glad you did.
I would like to point out that in the image that Anthony's showing, if you look at the sky behind, can you see how foggy and murky that is? It's not clear at all. And on the video from the Isle of Man, you have actually clouds in there and clear blue skies. I want to point that out.
I just see sensor noise because you haven't actually got a clear image there.
There's no evidence of
so as you can see, this land. Sorry to interrupt you guys. I just want to while I've got it on screen. So we've got this land levitating, like it has.
That's the evidence of looming.
That's looming, but we also have a mirror image. Hold on, Paul. I'm trying to explain something. So we have this looking like it's curving underneath itself. Well, it obviously isn't. That's the mirage. So we have it miraging and looming in the same evidence on the image. Pretty much like what we have here. Something looks like it's levitating. Clearly it's not. But what is below it is being miraged. Simple.
Yes. So imagine the boat wasn't there, gents. Imagine that there's just a horizon.
It's alright, Alex, the slow one's now interrupting while he tries to keep up. Sorry, Alex, you just button it just while we get an explanation from people who understand, rather than questions from people who don't. Just bear with us, Alex. There's not very much time left. We've got about 10 minutes left, if that.
Well, then shut up.
8 minutes.
So if something's being brought up, Nathan, where's it being brought up from if it's a flat Earth? I mean, do you not understand?
It's not being brought up from anywhere, Alex.
It's an optical effect, Alex.
What? What's that, Nathan? Say it again.
Yeah, it's alright, just Google it. Just Google it and accept the answer.
Google what?
Anything. Google whether the Earth's a sphere and just accept the answer, Alex.
Let me explain this. We see the boat and it appears to be floating, okay? The boat itself is being loomed. If the boat wasn't there, the atmosphere would block out what we see, which is clearly water, and the boat then, the horizon would appear to be lower, but that which is physically behind it, we can't see.
So it's got a new guest. I doubt it's real, but we've been joined by Eric DeBay. I doubt it's really Eric DeBay. How you doing, Eric?
Hello.
Yeah, hi.
Good to have you here, whoever you are.
Yeah.
The point is, Nathan, I haven't actually seen you advocate any argument whatsoever for flat Earth ever, because everything you've just simply said, I don't believe that. You only argue.
Spent 93 shows doing it. What are you talking about?
Yeah. You don't know anything. It's like you just Google anything that's flat Earth and believe that.
Tell us about geometric trigonometry.
At least if I'm going to believe something, I believe something. A lot of people who studied it and gone into it.
You haven't studied anything. If you'd have studied it, you'd have realised it was all based on presupposition. You guys don't understand it.
I want to believe in life. No, you don't understand.
Hydrogen,
you don't understand.
vacuum seal.
You can't understand why there's no beach in your picture.
Powerful as steel.
That's hilarious. I mean, we spent.
Beach is being loomed behind the whatever it is that's stopping us from seeing the horizon.
Soundly brilliant. Some soundly.
Why have we got him on?
Oh, look at that! Oh, this is what you really don't want to see. It's soundly, isn't it?
No, but you guys don't realise that that's being squashed.
Explain that one. Explain that.
Okay.
One,
okay. Who's playing that soundy video?
Eric Jabay. Finally, he's got some sense.
So all you need to do to explain that is play the Skunk Bay footage, because all soundly shows is the effects of refraction.
Explain that footage.
Oh, nonsense.
Riley.
Skunk Bay.
Don't be a weasel. You, Nathan, and
Skunk
Randy,
Bay.
weasels.
It's exactly the same. Nathan, and I'm sorry, Nathan, but would you mind putting me back on screen?
You are.
Oh, I'm on. Right, so favourites. Let's explain that one then. Basically explains refraction.
You're going to run away to another picture.
Seems to be giving an explanation, Alex. You're going to talk all over this as well?
No, yeah, I will.
All that Soundly is showing is that things get squashed and stretched, and on that particular occasion, it's being squashed. If he showed it all throughout the whole day, he would show it.
Moderating, if I was actually moderating, Alex, I'd kick the stupid people that are disruptive like yourself. I don't. I let you stay, but you are disruptive and stupid. I would kick you if I was a better moderator, according to the comments. I don't. I let idiots like you stay.
That's why I do it, Nathan. It's kind of why we can.
Alex, try and button it and listen to the explanation, Alex. You don't have to accept it. Just try to listen.
All that Soundly's done is shown one freeze frame from a day's worth of refraction that makes it look squashed. But if he'd have been there at a different time and took a different picture, he could have taken a picture that made it look more stretched, and then wouldn't have created the perception like that, for instance, where it's being squashed, but you guys interpret it to be it's being behind the curve of the Earth. All Soundly's doing in all of his observations is showing the effects of refraction.
No evidence that the
shows that
bottom
light
half of that
bends
building
up.
has been
He
squashed.
shows that land gets
don't
squashed.
see it.
And you guys are so stupid to think that it's curvature. You can't see that it's simply refraction. You should rename the guy as Refracted Soundly.
You guys are going to be so embarrassed in a few years, man.
Yeah,
and Nathan, you're going to have to delete this channel because I don't think it's fair that you've had your daughter all over it as well. I mean, it's just unbelievable.
So absolutely no challenge from Alex about what we've just said then.
No, it's not being squashed, is it? You see the picture Riley showed me? I can see the beach. I can see around I can actually see around the island. I can see something behind it. Why can't I see that on the one you've shown me with the Isle of Man?
Can you see the?
Why is
we just shown you why there was atmospheric blocking in the way, and it's evidenced in the picture. You can't see it, but that's okay. You think this is curve.
Why are you saying it's being squashed? Where's your evidence that the building's being squashed? He's overlaid it to you. It's not.
Okay, well, could I make
look at the evidence and look for the squashing, Alex? It's blatantly obvious.
It's behind Nathan's wall.
Can I make a point?
Obstruction to Nathan's wall. It's behind.
You do realise that that lake drops 15 feet at times, don't you?
So what, Ranty? That's irrelevant. That's a
why is it? Because if he goes down and he's there 50, and the tide starts to come back in, he's going to get that effect. It's going to. It's the tide in the foreground is going to drown out the background. Sound is very clever with his images. We know this.
What?
He's not that clever.
It's very easy to replicate things to make it look like a curve.
He can focus and everything.
Well, I'd like to see you go and make something look like a curve like that.
How's about you getting some evidence of molten iron self-perpetuating?
It's actually what's there, Ranty.
No.
He doesn't make it look like a curve. It's actually there, Ranty.
The lake goes up and it goes down all the time. It's not a stationary lake.
Make it look like a curve.
With a set, he can't go every single day.
There's no camera trickery to make it look like a curve.
No, he doesn't go every single day, right? And stand in the same spot. If he did, because if he did, then he would see that the tide goes in, it goes out, the height of the lake rises and falls. So it's going to give a different perspective when looking at things in the distance.
So let's just wrap up by concluding.
Let's wrap up, Paul. Every single day, isn't
Paul,
on a flat Earth, you should be able to see the base of the buildings, and you cannot.
Yeah.
Paul, let's wrap up by concluding that you're still going to be asked for the evidence of self-perpetuating molten iron. You haven't produced any yet. It's been weeks.
You're deflecting, Anthony.
We've addressed why the beach is not visible. It's behind the blockage. We've addressed that there was no beach for the lighthouse for the benefit of Alex, and he still doesn't get it. The 1,000-foot wall relates to the 50-mile observation, not the lighthouse, but 31 miles. And overall, gents, there's still no evidence for explaining why the curve is there. There's no proof that there's been anything that's non-standard refraction pulling it up.
It's been a bloodbath.
Right, well, anyway, I'm going to turn you guys down. I've been waiting for a while to round out the show, but massive thanks to the audience for tuning in to this rather epic debate. Massive thanks for sharing also. And a massive thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible. Be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.